Welcome to Whitby, made famous by Captain Cook and his ship Endeavour. The setting for Dracula, and most important to us, the place where the Synod of Whitby was held in 663. In our travels across Europe, we've often stopped and tried to find a church which was dedicated to St. John. One of the sad things is, all the way across Europe we didn't find one. I'm sure there are those that are dedicated to St. John, but actually there's not many. It's nice to come to Whitby, all the way from Turkey, and find one church dedicated to St. John the Evangelist. Just up the road here, there's another church dedicated to St. Ninian. And we should expect that there should be some link from Whitby to places like Whithorn, and in particular to St. John, where Coleman quoted St. John at the Whitby Synod. It was King Oswy who called the Synod of Whitby, simply because he was having a fallout with his wife. The Celtic Church, or the Irish Church, believed that they followed St. John the Beloved in the way in which they celebrated Easter, and also the time that they celebrated Easter. Unfortunately, they started their Easter earlier than the European Church. Now this caused some problems, because Oswy's wife followed the European practice. So what would happen, by the time King Oswy had finished fasting and had started Easter, his wife was still fasting and waiting to celebrate Easter. So Oswy decided to have it sorted out. So he called the famous synod here in Whitby in St. Hills Monastery. St Hills Monastery is at the top of these steps. There's 199 of them, always in an out of the way place. Good strategy for mission. Now, on the Irish side, fighting the Irish point of view, was Colman from Lindisfarne, and on the European side was another Celt called Wilfrid, who was the advocate for the Roman or the European point of view. Now, on the surface, what the dispute was over was the date of Easter, the way in which the Celts or the Irish Church culture, because in the Irish Church you had your hair cut from there to there, right across the top. In the European Church you had your hair just about like mine is now, on the top. That's what it was superficially. But underneath was an almighty storm brewing, because the real tension was between the way in which the Celtic Church or the Irish Church lived its life, which was often in contention with the European Church. While the European Church looked for uniformity, the Celtic Church was independence. While the European Church looked for more organisation, the Celtic Church was much more inspirational. And although both were orthodox, the tensions were growing in Europe and in Britain between the two. And at the Synod, Colman called upon Columba and said it was Columba's tradition that he was following for Easter, and that had been laid down by St John the Beloved all the way from Ephesus. On the other hand, Wilfrid claimed that the European Church was inspired by St Peter. And Oswy, when he heard Wilfrid say to Colman, "Can you put Peter has the keys of the church, can you say that your Columba has the keys of the church?" And Colman could only say no. So Oswy concluded if it was St Peter who set the date of Easter for the European Church, then that's the date that would be followed. It was at that point that the Irish Church, the Celtic Church, was swallowed up by the European Church. Colman went to Lindisfarne, got the brothers and headed home to Ireland. For the next 2 centuries the Celtic Church pottered on. People still travelled to Europe preaching the gospel, but really at Whitby it marked the beginning of the end, and eventually the Celtic Church was disappeared into the European style and in the European organisation.